All right, I think this thing is working. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Just wanting to be sure. Because all I want to do is just hop on, talk with a couple of you guys that are over there watching, listening, everything else that might be happening. All right, so let me see. I want to start seeing. I can see quite a few of you guys. I've got a big old screen over here. I can see quite a few of you guys that are commenting already. How's it going? Yo, smash that like button, all that type of fun stuff. So appreciate you guys tuning in already. Wow, quite a few hundred of y'all. Don't know what we did to do all that, but you might notice I'm coming at you guys from kind of somewhere a little bit different than where you might usually see me. I've got myself a little bunker I'm hanging out at, all right? So if you're a 3-letter agency, hop off this live stream. I don't need you guys doing any type of tracking and trying to figure out where I'm at, okay? Because that's just unnecessary, all right? Anyway, we are streaming right now on YouTube and Twitch. This is going to be something that we're going to be doing quite often, actually. So we're trying to do this maybe a couple times a week where, well, we're just going to be reaching out, hanging out with you guys, seeing what's new, what's up in the industry, and what you guys are up to down in the comment section. And Clint, that's not how you spell my name, Dynasty22, but it's all good. Anyway, so let me know what you guys might be looking forward to, any type of questions you might have down below, or however you're looking at this. I don't know. Like I said, we're on YouTube and Twitch, and we've got a cool little app thing that allows me to look at both of those. Maybe we'll do Facebook and Instagram later, but I know that they kind of limit how long you can go live for, Instagram especially, for like an hour. And we're already kind of playing a rocky game with Instagram as it is. But thankfully, YouTube has actually been pretty nice to work with recently. Thanks to our homies over at Forge Relations for putting on the Gundies, where we could actually meet with a couple of reps. And now here we are talking with you guys about stuff that I was afraid to show on camera before. Imagine that. Just how about that? Dropping a bag and little things and whatnot. So anyway, excited to be here and talking with you guys. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up in the future, a lot of cool collaborations, some pretty neat things that you'll be finding over at cfcontest.com as well. Just throwing that out there. I will not be using the G word. If you're wondering what the G word is, you're going to be just go to cfcontest.com to figure out what that is. Just because we are on YouTube, and that's the one thing that we want to kind of stay away from. All right, so that's all I'm looking at there. All right, but anyway, for those of you who are asking just what's been going on, I know it's been a long time since we've done a live stream, and all I want to do is just that's funny, Scott, not me literally just watching one of your videos then joining this. Thanks for the support. But yeah, it's been a while, and there's been a lot of changes happening recently. And on top of that, we're looking at partnering with some pretty cool people in the future. You've already seen Sarah at the Peace of Mind _ on Instagram, who's been on the channel a little bit. And we're looking to work with her a little bit more in the future. Of course, you guys are always a big fan of Adam, the giant Adam, who wouldn't fit in this frame. And yes, I am sitting right now. No, he's not 5'10", which would make me 3'16". No, he is pretty tall though. But anyway, JB, I see you. Yo, Clint, would love to meet y'all one day. Look, we always say it that if you guys are ever at Take Aim Training and Range, if you ever see us out and about, especially at some of the different shows like NRA, like SHOT Show, like whatever else is coming up, I see that quite a few of my friends went to CanCon, which was something that maybe we missed out on that we should have gone to. There's always next year. And as of right now, yeah, we are looking at attending Clash Bash next year, which is about a year away in April of 2024. If you saw our coverage from Clash Bash last time, then you saw where I was talking about getting Matt out there to run and gun a little bit. And of course, he was at the NRA show. This was his first outing with all of us. And a lot of you guys got to meet and see Matt if you were at Indianapolis. And that was a lot of fun. And so, yeah, I think we're going to be having a lot of fun doing all that too. All right. Um, so we've got Tap Rack Tyler, small gun tuber here. Any recommendations on growing this channel? Everybody started somewhere. And I think probably one of the biggest things that you can do, especially if you listen to some of our podcasts where we spoke with like Brandon Herrera, some of our videos where we've talked with Texas Plinking and even 22 Plinkster. That one will be coming out pretty soon, which is pretty exciting. It literally just entertaining content and frequent uploads. There's not much more I can really say other than that. If you're going to be more of a gun reviewer, be transparent, be honest. If somebody sends you something for free, let them know. Always take a look. Like, I mean, obviously, like Grantham's a huge mover and shaker when it comes to gun tubers on YouTube. And look at what he does. He provides entertaining content. It's very informative. It's definitely entertaining, especially when you got the likes of Charlie on there and others. But anyway, just be transparent, be honest, put out fun and entertaining content, and also be factual and informative. And I think you'll have yourself a pretty good way. It might take some time, but you never know, right? So just keep on out there. Dude, our rifle content is awesome. Good. Good to see you guys. Good afternoon from the great state of Texas. How are we all this afternoon? Not bad. Clint, 2A wins in Hawaii. Saw that for CCW. That's another thing I want to say is make sure you guys are getting involved with your local politics, Gun Owners America Firearms Policy Coalition, a bunch of other 2A advocacy groups that are winning, which is pretty cool. If you guys recently noticed, now a majority of the states, 26, 27 states. Well, put it this way, a majority of the country now has constitutional carry. That's awesome, right? So make sure you guys are staying up to date on that, because even though we've got a lot of wins, there's also still a lot of fights, a lot of fighting ahead. A lot of people, a lot of politicians, a lot of organizations still trying to diminish not only Second Amendment rights, but all of them. So make sure you guys are staying up to date on that. And for instance, like what is that? Cloder04 is asking about the update on the brace ban. Gun Owners of America is your best source for that. They are putting out all sorts of stuff on social media to keep everybody up to date and informed. Our buddy Jared, Guns and Gadgets, who we've had on the podcast, of course, he is also a fantastic resource. Make sure you guys are following, subscribing him. Go ahead and smash that like button, ring that notification bell, because he is putting out stuff all the time when it comes to your 2A rights. All right. So there you go. Good day from Trinidad. Nice. So don't miss out on all that type of stuff. Make sure you guys are getting involved. That's probably the best thing I can say. All right. No, I have not been captured. It's my bunker. All right. Nobody else's. I'm good. Nobody's, threatening me or I'm good. Everything I'm saying is what I want to say. All right. I'm not having to read from a script because I always mess that up anyway, somehow. Just kind of like Biden. Anyway. All right, just want to see any recommendations on a good muzzle brake for a 6.5 Creedmoor. So brakes are always great because they help drastically reduce felt recoil, keep that muzzle nice and flat, things like that. If you are looking to suppress 6.5 Creedmoor, which is kind of suppressing anything supersonic isn't always that great. Let's be honest. But is it still fun and something I like to do? Yes, absolutely. So take a look at Huxworks, right? Huxworks offers their flow-through cans, which are awesome. There's a lot of other, silencers in the industry that do a really, really good job with what they do. But as far as offering different types of muzzle devices, things like that, I will say that maybe for Huxworks QD muzzle devices, I'm not like the largest fan of because they don't have like a lot of different options there, at least the ones that I've seen. They're great. They work well, especially QD. But I do like, multiple chamber brakes, things like that. Like I've got my 308 on the other side here. I'm going to try not to tear down what all I've got going on here. But take a look at, this is my AR-10 build, Trijicon AccuPoint. There you go, Sharps Brothers for the wood accents. But anyway, if I bring this down, this is my Yankee Hill machine titanium can, which is great. And all it has is a ratcheting system that allows it to come on and off. And you'll notice I've got a 3-chamber brake, and this again is 308. not 6.5 Creedmoor, but 308 has a little bit more umph behind it, if you will, as far as felt recoil goes. But I can tell you right now that this is one flat shooting gun, but there's also a combination of things that really help with that. Not only does the brake work, I've got an adjustable gas system with a rifle length buffer, and it's also a rifle length gas system. So this thing is awesome for fast follow-up shots, accurate, quick engagement, if you will. This thing just does really, really well for that. So as far as a brake goes, if you're looking for just a brake and not something that's going to be a QD suppressor host, take a look at what Surefire or what FN puts on their SCAR 20 chamber D65 Creedmoor, the Surefire Pro Comp. Fantastic brake. We've given away, shouldn't have said that word, G word. We have what you can find on cfcontests.com. You can tell that in the past we have featured the 20S with that 2-chamber, I believe it is, brake, the Surefire Pro Comp. So take a look at that, all right? And I'm not in the closet. I'm in my bunker, all right? So anyway, just apologize and they will let you guys. You say, do you guys like the concrete wall background? Debating on whether or not I want to keep this look for maybe a couple of different videos coming up too, like a video series, a bunker series, where we have some different topics that we talk about, or just maybe a new site as well. Just different things. You guys seem to really like the garage videos that we did during the coof when we were outside of the warehouse, no pun intended, for our second channel. But a lot of you guys seem to relate, kind of, like, hey, everybody's working from home, so let's film in my garage, which is exactly what we did. Same type of mindset here, but I can make this a little bit more fun, you know what I mean? But that's pretty funny. I know where you're at. You're in a bunker. Got it. What's the latest on FRTs? That's a good question. I know that there's been, as there always has been, so a lot of back and forth there. So just keep an update on that. Firearms Policy Coalition, I know, is working on that type of stuff as well. But anyway, let's see. Any insight on 760x39, and if there are more companies? Let's see. See those? I'm just taking a look at a couple of other things. See you guys are contributing some stuff, which is awesome. Thank you guys. But anyway, I've got one here. Looks like you guys are saying, hey, Clint, love the content and thank you for your service to this country. One question I have: a 11.5-inch SBR setup, pretty much the same as your Mark 18. I was wondering the best optic for home/personal defense. Well, that is awesome, and thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. Got to tell you, as far as optics go, I'm a big fan of EOTech, right? They work. Battery life is decent. I beat the crap out of them. Torture tested the EOTech holographic optic, and I got to tell you that it just keeps on keeping on, right? And of course, if you pair that with their magnifier, one of the vast that they offer now, they've got the 33, 43, and what the 45. Is that right? Something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's their 5-power one. You pretty much get yourself in a position where you can identify a target out to a greater distance because of the magnifier, but you can also QD, quick detach, pop it off if you want to use just your setup for home defense. Again, I'm a really big fan of EOTech for that. If you go for a red dot, there's so many on the market, especially for more affordable options. Just there's a lot out there, right? But you guys see it on a lot of my rifles, on a lot of my setups. I run EOTech, and there's a reason for that. Like I said, I've beat the ever-living crap out of them, so that's just what I've got there. So thank you, Jacob, for the question. I see you there, and that's honestly, as far as best optic for home/personal defense, EOTech is where it's at in my book. A couple of you might disagree with that. Let us know in the comments section. And I see we've got another one here from Cult TV. Oh, man. Can we get a LWRC 6.8 PDW pistol or another Nemo Omen Watchman, G-word, or perhaps a M2010 deployment kit, LOL? I'm not going to say no, because there's always a possibility, right? Especially that 6.8 PDW pistol. Perhaps, I understand with braces and everything right now, that's kind of complicated. So that sucks. Um, I'm really hoping that some things happen there. I don't know. To go off on a different tangent, I'll get back to your question here in a second. It's not that I want braces to be banned, right? Absolutely not. But like, part of me does kind of hope this goes through and then ultimately reaches the Supreme Court level to say, hey, ATF, stop making up shit. You know what I mean? Let's just go ahead and crack down on that and put some restraints on those guys because they like putting restraints on the rest of us, right? And they're not a lawmaking agency. That doesn't exist. That's Congress. So they make rules that ultimately get people locked up. Uh, because at the end of the day, we've got, I'm not going to say how many pistol braces I may or may not have laying around here, but if they are treated as if like they are stocks going on in the future, then I mean, what they estimate 10 to 40 million in circulation. That's it's not a small number, right? So there you have that. All right. And I appreciate you guys too with the super questions and everything else. Definitely appreciate all the support from you guys. But anyway, so as far as a LWRC 6.8, anything like that, Colt, I'm not going to say no. But as far as it being like a pistol / PDW, maybe, maybe not. We'll just have to see in the future what that kind of looks like, right? Let's see here. Dizzy Thumb 66, Clint, for an AR-10 battle rifle setup, do you recommend 16-inch or 18-inch barrel length? For an AR-10 battle rifle setup, the difference between those 2 inches that you're getting are, we did our 308 velocity test between the two barrel lengths. And from what I remember, I don't think it is all that great. If you plan on suppressing it, then maybe a 16-inch is a better option. I know I'm a really, really big fan of the battle rifle that LMT has to offer, obviously. And also Franklin Armory has their Militia, which is a 14.5, I think. I think the LMT is even a 13.9, something like that. But they have the pin and weld muzzle device, which keeps it from being that short-barreled rifle configuration. So if you ask me, a little bit shorter if you plan on suppressing it, right? Makes sense. This is an 18-inch rifle that I have on, again, my AR-10 that you see right here. And I like that a lot. If I were to go more battle rifle, I'd want something that's a little bit more maneuverable, something that's still capable of engaging at distance, but also if I needed to kick in the door and do any type of clearing or whatever else it might be, something with a little bit shorter barrel that's 16 inches would be decent. Again, if you ask me, right? So that is just something I would take into consideration on that front. All right. Dizzy, I hope that answered your question. Ryan, I'll see again. Thank you guys so much for these super questions and everything else. These chats that are coming in, it really means a lot. Thank you guys for the support. So Ryan, he says, am I better off buying an AR-10 or AR kit, sorry, and upgrading parts over time or buying all the parts individually? That comes down to you and what your budget is most likely good for, right? Because you can do like the complete kits and you can just run with it. You can personally, like when I built this, my AR-10 that I've showed already quite a bit in this chat, I did that over a period of time. I started with the matched receiver set from Aero Precision. Then I went with the barrel. Then I went with the whole carrier group. Then I went with the rail. Then I went with the muzzle device and then the gas system. I kind of just bounced all over with whatever my budget could afford and then whatever type of parts I want to throw into it. So you can get, if you're ready, if you've got the finances and you don't want to wait on anything and everything's in stock, then yeah, get that kit and then just build the gun and have fun, right? If time is more of an essence, in other words, you want to quickly go ahead and acquire this and make this your gun, go that way. If you want to take the time, get those expensive parts, everything else, do that. So which way are you better off? The question's kind of for you and what your budget can handle, and then how quickly you want this build to happen. All right. So anyway, I hope that answered a couple of y'all's questions there. And oh, I couldn't find the word. So I may have forgot the code word on the last CF contest video. My bad. If you type in spear, that should get you those entries that you're looking for. All right. Anyway, Let's see here. One of you guys were asking about 760 by 39s earlier, and whether or not we're going to see more of those in the future. And I got to tell you, I think quite possibly yes, because 760 by 39 is still around that is plenty available for now. And it's also one that, I'll put it this way, we got a lot in the warehouse. I can tell you that much. And it's also a really popular round. It's everybody knows exactly how effective it is. It's a great cartridge, and I do believe we're going to see a lot more offerings in that caliber. I mean, hell, even Sig with the new Spear LT released the 762 by 39 model, which again I think is pretty freaking fantastic. I know Matt loves that, so there you go. Clint, when you going on the Unsubscribe podcast? I don't know, maybe sometime soon. We'll see. I'll wait for an invite on that front. All right. Legacy Productions, I see you. Thank you again for the support. Love your content. Working on starting a Rumble gun channel myself. Most underrated caliber. Mine is 5.7 or 4570, but I might just like odd guns. Somebody say 4570 because I think you did. This is the Henry All Weather, which is pretty freaking awesome if you ask me. Yeah, 4570 is a badass round. It kicks butt, and this is one of my favorite rifles, actually. This thing is just so freaking cool. I'm going to deck it out probably with like a little side leather holster here, a little sling and everything. You'll probably see some cool content marching around in the woods or something with something like this. Let me know if you guys would like a giveaway with this, by the way, because I think a lot of you guys might appreciate that. But anyway, 4570 is a great cartridge. 5.7 is also a great cartridge, especially since Kel-Tec came out with their P50 rifle now also, which I think we saw at NRA. And as far as most underrated caliber, I don't think 4570 is underrated. I think everybody knows that's a pretty damn good cartridge and has some serious effectiveness on target, if you know what I mean. 5.7, again, that one may not just be as popular because of its price and availability, but we're starting to see a little bit more of that become available, at least as far as I can tell, what we get in the warehouse and things like that. And then, of course, the more and more guns that are chambered in that caliber, the more and more likely we are to see more of that caliber or that round being produced, right? So that's how I feel about that. But I think something like that, Legacy Productions, would be pretty cool to see, all right? Both of those, actually. Thank you, Scott Henry, just for the donation. Appreciate that so much. And Vinny V, M5E1 with rifle length gas system, carbine buffer system with PRS stock, won't load second round. You've got an 18-inch barrel, WC bolt carrier group, non-adjustable gas wall, rifle length gas system, carbine buffer system. I feel like that might be where your issue is. I feel like with the PRS stock, because you got to make sure that there's enough gas getting into the system to cycle the bolt. If it won't cycle the second round, that means obviously you're chambering the first round, pull the trigger, go bang, but it's not getting enough gas back into the system to make that bolt go all the way back into the buffer, and then the buffer pushing forward. At what point are you seeing the failure? Are you having complete ejection and extraction, or are you having a failure to feed? Because at that point, you should actually know if you have, not enough gas coming back and pushing it forward, because you might just have to get a little bit larger spring or a longer spring, a rifle spring for the precision rifle stock. I think that makes sense in my mind, at least. So let's help our guy out here in the comment section too, guys. If you run into issues like that, feeding issues, or again, it depends. Are you having a feeding issue or an extraction issue? That's what we need the answer on there. But anyway, where are we? Let's see. I see Class of Firearms. What's up? Thanks for the heads up. You are right. I don't know what you're responding to. But obviously, our moderator on Classic is in here. But anyway, yeah. Appreciate you guys. I really do appreciate all y'all being in here. This is pretty awesome. Like I said, it's been a while since we've gone live, talked, and this is something that we want to do more of. I think Kaya might do more of like the gaming stuff. I suck, so therefore maybe I won't do as much gaming. All right, But let's see here. Colt TV, there you are. I see you. No question here. Just wanted to shameless plug the CF Rumble page. Every subscriber helps against censorship. Gotta bounce. See you around. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Colt, so much. And yeah, what more can I say other than we greatly appreciate you guys? And yeah, the Rumble page was kind of that was going to be our new norm if YouTube decided to continue on with their games. But thankfully, it looks like everything's kind of loosening up on that front end. But we still want to upload to Rumble because we actually do appreciate their their lack of censorship in that case. So that's pretty cool. So for all of you that don't know, we're on Rumble as well, Classic Firearms, and there you go. And one of you guys said don't handle the firearms, so I guess that's a little too late, right? I'm not really all that great at following up, or I guess following rules here. Okay, so the guns, yeah, I shouldn't show in my hands. Well, maybe the stream will get cut. I don't know. It'll be all right. So maybe no more showing of guns. So like I said, Rumble, we appreciate that because well, there's not any censorship there. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Anyway, it sucks. That's funny. But let's see here. I see you guys again in the comments and chats, whatever they are. My super chat about 556 can QD or direct that. So I see this. Let's see here. This is 5 to 9 Minnesota Farmer. I see you. 556 can QD or direct thread. It really depends on the purpose of that gun. If you plan to keep it suppressed all the time, go QD. Or sorry, go direct thread. If you want to shoot it suppressed and unsuppressed, given whatever your application may be, then obviously QD would be the way to go. So that way you don't have to worry about threading on a muzzle device every single time that you want to remove your direct thread can, especially if you have to time it, and that's just a pain in the ass. If you don't have to time it, it's not too big of a deal, but you still want to make sure you're torquing it down. So that way you don't have your muzzle device walking off and then shooting off the end of your barrel when you pull the trigger. That's not like a good time, right? So that's what I got to say about that when it comes to QD or direct thread. Depends on your application. All right. What is my personal opinion on Caniks? And this is what prison_Mike has to say. What is my personal opinion on Caniks and their overall performance and reliability? I will not be picking up the Rival S that I have right next to me, but I can tell you right now, I also have right next to me what I was going to show in this live stream is the new Canik MC9, MC9, which is their micro compact. Every Canik that I have shot has shot very, very well. The only thing that I know about some of the earlier models is that there was a little bit of a break-in period of about 100 rounds, 50 to 100 rounds, and then all of a sudden we saw good reliability with that gun. I do not remember what the ammunition was that we started shooting it with, but I can tell you that it worked really, really well afterwards. And that was a TP9 SFX, I think it was. Now, with the later guns, literally zero issues. Some of the best triggers, if not the best trigger, when it comes to a production gun right out of the box. Fantastic. As far as the reliability goes, like I said, I have beat the crap out of mine. Katie, who was on the channel, she had the regular rival, the dark side, and that thing got dirt, crap thrown in it all the time, and it just ran really, really well. It's not one of those guns you have to worry about going off if it, hits the deck, falls out of your holster or anything. But anyway, as far as their overall performance and reliability, I stand by it. I absolutely love Canik in that sense. All around, actually. The looks, feel, and all of that, all right? Let's see here. Hershey Rose. Clint, when are you guys going to do a follow-up video between the bullpups? Maybe a video of the Caltech RDB Defender. Stay tuned, because we've definitely talked about bullpups and what we may or may not be doing there in the future. So stay tuned. That'll be something coming soon. But we actually have something a little bit more in the works that's not going to feature any bullpups, but a whole new series coming soon that we've hinted at. So stay tuned, all right? Let's see here. Again, thank you for the support here. We've got Gat Zaraki PR. Hey, Clint, Jose here. Just want to say big fan of the channel and the firearms here in Puerto Rico. That is awesome. Thank you so much. And for those of you that might be internationally viewing, I know that we can't really ship firearms to you, or you may not even be able to do our website. But I just want to say thank you guys for being here. We hope that you've enjoyed the content. Hopefully it's been entertaining and informative, and you're still here. So thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to get to a few more of you guys. We live, boys. Yes, we are. JBATL. I have a Great Lakes Manufacturing AR-15. I built it out from more of a short to mid-range build with a Vortex Diamondback scope and a Magpul. Okay, great. So didn't realize I could do that. So that way you guys could see the comments that I have coming. So that's cool. Thanks, Colton, for the comment there, and really appreciate you guys. Again, the Great Lakes Firearms, I've talked to those guys before. They're just awesome. They're solid people. And I think I interviewed them for the first time at SHOT Show last year, which is pretty cool. All right, so yeah, I can't go wrong with that. Vortex, Diamondback scopes, they just work really, really well also. But anyway, let's see. I see there, Colt, great. I'm just going to go ahead and just drop that there, just so we all know. All right, thank you, Howard, for putting out that. Let's see here. This is actually a pretty good question here, because I know some of you might have questions on that. And Dustin's asking, hey, Clint, do you have any green lasers on any of my firearms? And I actually do. On the Mark 18 is a green laser. And why I like the green, especially if it picks up more natural, first of all, to the eye. Secondly, it's going to typically be a little bit brighter. And on top of that, if you ever compare a green laser to a red laser, again, just for me at least, I really like that they pick up more. Also, what does that mean? Since they pick up naturally to the human eye, that means whoever's looking in your general area or back at you is also going to be seeing that green laser a lot clearly also. So be cognizant of when you are shining that laser. Red is good because red is easy enough to pick up, but also not as easy to pick up if somebody, let's say an enemy combatant, is looking back at you, right? Also, red lasers are typically a little bit more affordable other than over green lasers. So there's, toss-ups in that sense. But if you're going to go for a visible laser, it really depends on, again, budget, because red lasers are typically more affordable than green lasers. If you take a look at like the D-Ball A3 that I have on my Mark 18, and you look at the red versus the green is significantly more expensive by a couple $100, something like that, right? I decided to go with the green in this case because I wanted to try it out, see how I liked it. Haven't removed it, and it works really, really well. And we've also done, I want to say we featured a couple of green lasers on CF Contest, or at least before we were doing CF Contest, but contest.com, I mean. But anyway, so as far as that goes, yeah, I do have green lasers, but as far as my pistols go, I got red lasers. There we go. So thank you guys. Oh, Jim, you're pretty close. And Salisbury, hello to you as well. So the APX A1 Compact, I actually haven't heard too much about it. We cover a lot of different guns at the shows that we attend, and trying to think about Beretta's booth and what all we covered this year. For instance, the new PMX-S, which is it's an Italian submachine gun, right? Minus the giggle switch, because it's not a submachine gun, it's semi-auto. But it is a really cool gun. Just magazine fed. I know what more can you say that looks like old school Italian submachine gun, which I can't remember the name of the original. Anyway, one of you guys will figure it out. But anyway, I actually haven't heard too much about it. You guys help out our buddy Revengeance Raven, see if you guys have had any personal experience with the APX A1 Compact. Let's see. Yeah, so Starbuck Actual 4570 God's Caliber. Yeah, that thing, put it this way, if you're going to be backpacking in some serious woods that have some serious game, 4570 is where it's at, right? So there you go. Let's see. Is there a red dot better than the one that comes with the Springfield Hellcat RDP? There's all sorts of red dots out there. In fact, what we just got into the warehouse was the new Hollow Sun 507K, I want to say it is. So we'll be having some content up with that come soon. So again, there's so many different options out there. I know Swamp Fox is out there for an affordable option that works really, really well. Obviously, Vortex. Um, gosh, I'm trying to remember the footprint of the Hellcat RDP. I actually cannot. I cannot actually recall right off the top of my head. All right. Let's see here. I missed one of you guys that was in the super chat. I apologize about that. Let's see. Appreciate your videos from New York City. Unfree state. Which firearms do you recommend in an unfree state? This is coming from HD Chillin. So it really depends on what your state allows, right? So if you've got magazine capacity restrictions, that's one thing. If you have a roster you have to abide by, that's another thing. You can always just go with the 1911, right? I mean, there's that. But as far as that goes, I know a lot of different manufacturers make compliant models, like one of the HKs that we have, the 45 that we have, the HK. Why am I drawing a blank right now? Gun. It's a 10 round magazine capacity. Usually they're like 12, 13, something like that. But that's one of the compliant models. So that's a 10 rounder. VP9, same things. Those are available. I know just about every manufacturer makes some sort of compliant model. So those of you that aren't in as free states can still exercise a majority of your Second Amendment right? So there you go. All right. Oh man, let me scroll here just a little bit because I know I'm getting kind of a little bit behind here, but man, there's still quite a few of you guys here, which is awesome. So thank you guys so much for this. Sounds like, looks like Classic Firearms is responding. Let's see, this was a test run for many future live streams. Getting Clint a mic right now. Yeah, I guess maybe my audio isn't showing up all that great. I hope it is for you guys. But anyway, oh, that's funny. Yeah, apparently there's a few of you guys are asking all sorts of good questions. We've got, again, one of our moderators in here that's asking some stuff. But anyway, oh, wait, here we go. Found you. Howard, appreciate it. What's your favorite color in your crayon box Marine? You know, I should really start reading these questions before I actually click on them. Purple. Anyway, all right. If Stoner thought the M16 needed a 20-inch barrel, why does everyone think he was an ignoramus and go for 16-inch and less? Any solid reasons? A lot of it has to do with the cartridges that were designed at that point, because that was a 20-inch barrel for a 55 or 55 grain projectile. With a lot of the updates and advancement in cartridge technology, powders, things like that, we're able to get quite a bit of the good terminal ballistics out of a heavier projectile in a shorter barrel or shorter configuration. And on top of that, well, there's also the question of, hey, we need something a little bit more compact, like the M4, for instance, being a 14.5-inch barrel, utilizing the 62 grain M855 or M855A1. We were still seeing quite a bit, let's just say, effectiveness on target with that caliber and with that barrel length. So don't get me wrong, 20-inch M16s are awesome. I'm still issued an M16A4 in the Marines, and that is a 20-inch boy. We're still shooting the green tip guys, and that thing just absolutely runs. And at 500 yards, we're still able to make good, effective hits on target. Ask me how I know, because, well, that's what our known distance range is, right? 500 yards, and it works great. That's not to say, though, that there aren't better configurations for certain applications. Again, if you're moving in and out of vehicles, ship deck, right? The Navy, the reason they adopted the Mark 18 was because, well, they needed something a little bit smaller to get through these ship thresholds and doors. If you've ever been on a boat before, not to dumb it down, but ultimately a lot of these ships, if you ever visited like the USS Yorktown out in Charleston at Patriots Point, you'll notice that these are some pretty tight quarters. And trying to get a guy, typically a bigger dude, if you ever seen Neil McLean on our channel before, McLean Core Slings, ironically enough, those are what I use on my Mark 18. You'll notice that he's a little bit bigger dude, bigger than me. And if you were to put him in full kit and then try to go clear a sub, this guy's going to have a hard enough time trying to fit shoulder to shoulder through a door. So having a little bit smaller barrel, smaller firearm in general is going to make things a little bit easier. And then on top of that, you've already got the availability and the mass production and cost and investment into the 5.56 cartridge. So, hey, we'll take the velocity loss, we'll take the effectiveness on target loss, and just put more in them. So there you have it. But at the end of the day, 20-inch barrel superior. So I can go ahead and agree to that all day long. All right, Walter, I see a huge fan. Keep coming. Keep the cast coming. Southeast Georgia, USA. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. Again, sorry if the audio is not that great. I am just using my laptop. All right. Jay, Clint without his beard is more weird than him sitting, in my opinion. I don't know what's happening down here in the comment section. I'm not seeing whatever conversations are taking place, but yeah, I prefer the beard. All right. I think most of you guys do too. All right. Anyway, oh man, again, I really do appreciate you guys joining and talking with us. Like I said, oh, there, sitting down is weird. Do you guys not watch our podcast? I always sit in our podcast. I mean, I can stand if you guys want me to, but I'm also pretty comfortable right now, so I don't plan on doing that. Right. Let's see here. What are your thoughts on the Prodigy? Apparently, the Prodigy's been having some issues. The ones that we have, not so much. They've been working just fine. And again, I also don't have a large round count through the Prodigies that we have. So, it's kind of a toss up there. I'll be honest with you. When I took it to the range and shot it, and we did our unveil on it, the gun worked. I did let you guys know that I was having some issues with the last round, keeping the slide lock to the rear on the extended magazine. And that's because I think they probably took the regular spring that is in the standard mag. I can't remember what the capacities are right off the top of my head. And they just put them in the extended mag with the base plate. So therefore, you're not going to have as much tension. So that, that makes sense to me. The follower is not going to be pushed all the way to the top like it should in order to actually lock the slide to the rear. So that's the only issue that I had while shooting it, the few hundred rounds that I put through it. So the Prodigy in of itself, though, pretty good round. I think, a pretty good round, pretty good pistol. Perhaps maybe some quality control issues. It's hard to say, though, because, like I said, we've gotten a couple in, and they feel all buttery smooth, things like that. But at the same time, I know a lot of other people on the interwebs are having their issues. So, take it from them. They probably got more rounds than me downrange with that gun, and just leave it at that. All right. Let's see here. Oh, this is a funny one. So this is Jacob. Again, Jacob, thank you so much for the contribution and your support. Thoughts on Congress using a snippet of your SP Tactical video in their pistol brace hearing, along with many other gun tubers videos. Sorry, couldn't spell out Congress the whole way, or it wouldn't let me send. Gotta love it. Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, there was a congressional hearing, and actually, I think I can pop this up here just so you guys can see it. There was a congressional hearing, and this is still being talked about now. Obviously, with the pistol brace ruling, it was actually Representative Raskin that decided to use classic firearms video, my likeness, along with Mr. Guns and Gear and several other gun tubers about pistol braces. He said, don't take it from me, take it from the guys, take it from these people who use them, whatever. And of course, it was one of the intros that we were talking about the pistol braces. And in this intro, I am, as we typically are with the intros, having fun, trying to get that attention grabber, and kind of making fun of an AR pistol being configured or being determined as a pistol with a pistol brace. The reason I'm making fun of it is quite simply because the NFA shouldn't exist. The National Firearms Act is an absolute joke and is a money grab and is an infringement on the Second Amendment. Pistol braces should exist because there are people who actually benefit from them. You're talking about handicapped, wounded individuals. It was originally designed for a wounded veteran to be able to exercise his Second Amendment right. So pistol braces definitely have a place in the market. They shouldn't be used, however, as a loophole around the National Firearms Act as if they're a stock, because they're not stocks. With that being said, the NFA shouldn't exist. Braces are braces, stocks are stocks. They each serve their own purpose, and that's that. The National Firearms Act is simply an infringement on our Second Amendment rights. It is a money grab. We already pay enough in taxes that go to useless things as it is. Right? And so it's kind of like, that's my feelings on it. But of course, the context in which a Representative Raskin would use that is as if I'm actually talking badly about braces, which isn't the case. Because, like I said, they serve a purpose. What am I talking badly about? Those anti-gun politicians and to a legislature that's been passed, like the National Firearms Act, like the Gun Control Act, like the ATF in general. But anyway, that's how I feel about that. I promise you guys, I'm good. Just kidding. Anyway, so that's where we're at on that, and hopefully you guys didn't mind my little spill on all of that. All right. Anyway, let's see here. Cover the Quattro. I see you guys, and let me get to another one of y'all here. Again, thank you so much for the support. We really appreciate you guys. Will you ever come to the Dragonman Military Museum and Machine Gun Shoot in Colorado Springs? I'm sure we will, actually. I think here coming soon, we are going to be covering more and more shoes, right? But I was trying to combine shoots and shows, not shoes, all right? Tony 2D Wild, if you're watching, he covers shoes though, and he's a big supporter of the channel and stuff. Appreciate you. If you guys are into sneakers and everything, give him a follow. But at the end of it all, yeah, I think you will eventually. We're going to be covering a lot more shoots, a lot more shows. We're going to be trying to get out there and cover all the great, cool things that are out there. So just stay tuned, all right? Push through life, hashtag PTL. Thank you so much for the contribution. Appreciate you guys. That means so much to us. So thank you all. All right. All right, this is actually pretty funny. Okay, well, I'll put this one up here. So, Daniel, do you think that the ATF director looks like Josh Peck on Drake and Josh, telling the weather whenever the director is being schooled by the House Judiciary Committee? Turquoise covering eyes, face. A lot of emojis that weren't being translated well onto the chat here. Yeah, he kind of does. But unfortunately for Dettelbach, Josh Peck actually grew up and got a lot better looking than he did as a kid. Dettelbach became a tyrant. But anyway, here we are. Oh, man. Oh, this is a good question. So Sean's asking, with everything going on with the ATF, would I still SBR the Mark 18 if I was building it today? I've actually said it multiple times. If I were to do it all over again, knowing now what I know, I probably wouldn't have SBR'd my Mark 18. However, because I do use it so much for content on the channel, I'm glad I did it, and went the legal way of doing it, because I would be like incriminating myself all the time if I just do a stock on it without registering it, right? So anyway, with all of that being said, yeah, I guess registering it as but building it as a pistol initially would have saved a little bit of hassle. The few times that I've moved, having to do 5320.20s, again, just wanting to make sure I do abide by the law for the most part, is good, right? Anyway, so with that being said, I don't know. It's up to you. As far as the SBRing goes, like I said, don't agree with the National Firearms Act. Don't like having to pay additional $200 tax on everything that I want. I don't know if showing silencers on a live stream are bad or not, so I guess I just won't for now. But if I just want to buy a silencer, take a look. Let's say you have $1,000 price on your silencer. Go ahead and make that $1,200 because you have to pay an additional $200 tax on top of whatever else it might cost you to get your fingerprinting done and driving to the sheriff's department, whatever else there might have to be done. It's ridiculous. And so with all that being said, again, I can rant about the NFA and the ATF overreach and tyranny, but it is what it is. So how do I feel about it? Well, yeah, I kind of do wish I just, went with the pistol version instead of the SBR version initially, especially since it took me about 11 months to finally get approval back. And that was back in 2016, I want to say. Somewhere in there. So, yeah, there you go. All right. Anyway, continuing on with what a couple of you guys have to say about that. Here's a good question. What is a good holster for the Springfield Armory XDS Mod 2? Fabian asks. And you guys already know I've talked about these guys quite a bit. Alpha Omega Kydex, they are awesome. They've got more options and configurations available for so many different pistols that it's crazy. So I will always recommend them. And Eric over there at Alpha Omega, just a solid dude anyway. Love the people he's involved with, and I always see him at shows. He's just a good guy. So I always like to support Alpha Omega Kydex holsters. Of course, there's another company that we know pretty well, Secret Squirrel. Again, if you're going for concealment holsters, there's so many that are available. Just go with what's available that's out there, or not what's available. Sorry, but go with what's quality. You see a lot of reviews on it, and people are covering it, and that's great. So check all that out. Again, when we had Sarah on the channel not too long ago, she absolutely loves her Filster Enigma, which again, I have one of those as well, and it's a very, very comfortable concealed carry option. And Alpha Omega holsters are also compatible with the Filster Enigma. Just tighten some screws or loosen some screws and things like that. And there we have it. But there we go. Anyway, just want to make sure that I am making sure I'm getting here, because I want to make sure I get you guys in before. How long have we been going now? For about 51 minutes or so. I think we can keep going, don't you guys? Why not? Because like I said, I'm just chilling. Let's see here. I noticed. Let me see this really quick. Radiant. I got you, Radiant Mistborn Clint. I'm looking into getting the P320. If I could speak, P365X macro for my concealed carry. Would you recommend a Sig Romeo Zero or the Trigicon RMR for my red dot? I carry the 365X macro, shameless plug, in my Alpha Omega Kydex holster, and I love it. I do not have a red dot on it at this time. I do have a Streamlight TLR7A light, however, because I do like light bearing on my guns. But anyway, as far as a red dot goes, the Trigicon RMR won't allow you. I don't even know what kind of footprint that would work or not, because the RMR CC is a whole different configuration, and I do not believe it'll allow you to co-witness. If you don't care about co-witnessing, that's one thing. But I know the Sig Romeo Zero does actually allow you to get that co-witness in there, or at least has the notch for your iron sight to try to work with. And Hollow Sun also comes out. Again, I'll let you know coming soon. Again, I'm going to try to do these live streams weekly. And so I will let you know after I install the 507K about how that looks on that. Again, it's the Hollow Sun 507K. So there you go. And I hope that answered your question there. And let me see here. Thoughts and opinions on the EOTech mount from Scalarworks. Scalarworks makes some great stuff. Don't over tighten. If you're utilizing like a clamp style for your scope, don't over tighten it. I have broken quite a few Scalarwork mounts from over tightening them. That is my one and only nitpicky thing. I actually haven't used the EOTech mount from Scalarworks, but I have used them on Aimpoint T2s. I've used them on a couple of different optics, and they are great for that. But I will just say, if you're utilizing like a traditional scope, that clamp style, do not over tighten. That was my fault. If I actually, read the manual and actually used a torque wrench instead of just guesstimating, I probably would have saved myself some hassle there. Anyway, let's see here. Thank you again for the support. Cyan Zero, Panzer M4 versus Black Aces S4. Which would you choose for a budget tech shotgun? I've got more rounds, more shells expended through the Panzer M4 than I do the Black Aces S4. Black Aces make some solid stuff. I always thought their controls were a little stiff, but I will say that the Panzer M4, like I said, I have simply more experience with that gun, and I have run the crap out of it. So I'm going to go with the Panzer M4. All right. Like I said, I can shoot the hell out of it, shoot it really, really fast. It's been a very reliable gun for me, especially the newer models that are like the Marine models. No, not like United States Marine Corps, but Marine as in like boating and whatnot. That has all of the corrosion resistant covering or finish on it. not cover, but you know what I mean. That is the model that I would go for sure. All right. Anyway, let's see. Serious question: pros and cons between the Beretta 1301 and A300 for home defense gun. So shotguns in general, a lot of people like to run to for home defense. I have always been kind of like not a big fan of shotguns in a home defense situation because my biggest thing is your limited capacity. That's always been my thing, right? Granted, a lot of the home defense, you know, if you're on Instagram, if you're on social media at all, if you follow Mr. Guns and Gear, you have probably seen scenarios where somebody kicks in a door. Multiple intruders is what we're seeing a lot of. That's been on the rise for home invasions. Not just one guy kicking in a door. It's typically a whole squad of people sometimes, at least a fire team. And next thing you know, they rush in. They're usually a little bit slower, trying to figure out, you know, the layout of the house, whatever it might be. And typically, here's one thing that's always in common whenever I see these home invasion through security cameras and everything else. The moment they get fired upon, they've looked for an exit. There's never usually a gunfight or battle inside the home. That's not to say that there wouldn't be one. But typically, the moment that an intruder, a criminal, starts taking rounds, even if they're not hits, they're looking for that entryway that gets made to go right back through it and get the hell out of there. So staying armed is the number one thing. What you're armed with is what you're going to be most comfortable with, which a lot of people simply aren't comfortable with. Shotguns, which is why I'm not a huge proponent of them. However, I can also agree. I can totally agree that when it comes to CQB, a shotgun is the most devastating force that you will find. I love my Mark 18. I really, really do. You guys know this. However, you take a look at a 5.56, then you take a look at some buckshot, and you will realize really quick that, well, one of these is going to have a little bit better lethality. It's going to have a lot better effectiveness on target when it comes to, well, that impact. And if you're going with a semi-auto, all the better, in my mind, because that means more rounds quicker. It all comes down to what you're comfortable with and your training. I can reload a Mark 18, an AR, doesn't matter what it is, a lot quicker than I can a shotgun. However, that doesn't mean I'm not bad with it. I can definitely keep rounds in there. It's a mental thing, right? However, 30 rounds in the mag, it's a lot better than 7 in a tube, if you ask me. And that's why I would typically opt for an AR, something like that. There's also an argument to be made about 5.56 and over penetration. Totally get that as well. Again, we've got questions on that. I think Grantham actually just came out with a video all about drywall and a penetration test. I haven't watched it just yet, but it's one that I will be watching very, very soon. So that's ultimately how I feel about all of that. All right. So as far as the 1301 versus the A300, the 1301 is awesome. I haven't had any experience with the A300 at the range just yet, but I will tell you that what I saw at the NRA annual meet and at SHOT Show with it, very impressive shotgun. That is one that will be added to my collection soon. And that's how I feel about that. So I have more experience with the 1301 than I do the others. All right. And I hope that works for you guys. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you, Fabian, again for that so much. I also saw somebody asking about Zastava, and there it is. I will put that on the screen. Thoughts on the Zastava AK-47? Love it. They're not AKs. They're M70s, depending on which one you go with, right? So the Zastava variant, they are fantastic. I love the brand Zastava. Ranko definitely corrected me on the pronunciation of the name, but Zastava is always in my head. Zastava. That is a fantastic rifle. Bulged trunnions, chrome lined barrels, excellent triggers out of the box. They just look great. The hardware, the furniture, everything about them are just really, really well made, and I have not had any issues. My first underfolder AK was a Zastava. I still have it. Can't show you guys. But I still have it. That was my first AK, and yeah, I still have it. So there you go. I absolutely love Zastava as a brand, as a manufacturer. AJ, thanks again for the support, man. What's up, Clint? Big fan. Is an SBR and suppressor worth all of the hassle of the paperwork, wait time, registering through the ATF, blah, blah, blah. SBR, again, with this crystal brace ruling and everything else coming into play, yeah, it's probably going to be worth it. anytime I feel like I'm just, paying a tax stamp, though, I feel like I'm just donating more money to a useless government. So that always hurts. But I really love my guns and silencers. So there's that too, right? For silencers, yeah, absolutely. I think silencers are some of the best things ever freaking made. They are ultimately a safety device that you put at the end of your gun to make sure that the thing doesn't make too much of a loud noise to hurt your hearing or things like that. Granted, silencers don't silence the gun. They can make it very, very quiet. They can suppress the flash, things like that. But at the end of the day, they don't do what their name intends, right? So keep that in mind. But as far as do I say worth it at the end of it all, I do not. I still think it's worth it. Yeah, that's how I feel about that. Um, those little mufflers that you add at the end of your gun are great. And if you ever do any type of indoor shooting, you will absolutely wish that everybody has a silencer, right? It's a gentleman's thing, right? I know in Europe they're very, very common, which blows my mind, right? For whatever reason, they're not looked at as assassin tools in Europe like they are here in America. Thanks Hollywood, I guess. We all know that scene out of John Wick was it 2, where him and John Wick and Keanu and Common are sitting there shooting back and forth at each other with their suppressed pistols in a mall. It's not going to work, man. People are going to definitely pick up on it. Granted, I do believe that we live in a society that's completely oblivious to what's going on around them because they're usually doing this. We kind of make fun of that in our latest video on the Sig Spear LT, where we have our production assistant. I take him out, butt stroke, and he's scrolling on his phone. We kind of make fun of that, right? It was just a fun little intro we did. But anyway, as far as all that goes, wait time, hassle, paperwork, for the silencer, yeah, I'm going to say it's definitely worth it. All right. Oh, man. Let's see here. Hold on. I'll get to you, Jeremy, really quick. When you see Auburn from Huxworks, ask him about the T-shirt he was talking about making from CanCon from Arizona. I will. Auburn and I are pretty tight, so I'll probably shoot him a text and be like, hey, dude, Jeremy was asking, Figueroa was asking about some sort of T-shirt from CanCon, so what's up with that? I wonder if it says something like that. Thank you, Jacob. That was perfect timing. Anyway, all right. So, yeah, I actually want to get to a couple of what you guys hear. So, yeah, Steve, I agree with you. I do. A suppressor is a better term as they do not silence. And at the end of the day, I do know that Maxim, Hiram Maxim, is that right? I know it's Maxim. But anyway, ultimately wanted to name the device a silencer. That's what its patent is. It is a silencer by definition in its name. However, what does it do? Practically, it suppresses the sound and ultimately the flash, which later down the road became something that was actually more desired. Signature suppression overall. Signature suppression is a great way to loop in both sound and flash. Make sure that doesn't happen. So that way enemy combatants can't as easily identify where that shot is coming from, right? So there you go. I like this one. Wreck Delinquents. Again, thank you for the support so much. What's my honest opinion on the Cruise Vector chambered in 10? It's freaking cool, dude. That is so. First of all, the Vector's an odd platform. It's one of those where it's like, oh yeah, I always want to shoot it, right? Like, absolutely. Then when you do shoot it, it's kind of like, okay, it's one of those. With the later generations, they have made it a little bit more ergonomic. In the earlier ones, with the safety, the ambi safety, whenever you flipped it into fire, it would dig right into here, and it would be very painful and to shoot. So some people would just chop it off, shave it down, replace it for something that you could just a left side safety, whatever. Anyway, it chambered in 10 mil, however, it's freaking cool. I will say that the gun actually recoils pretty nicely. It's an odd recoil because it does revector that, hence name Chris Vector. It does revector the muzzle down because the way I'm trying to show this without having the gun here and of course not being able to show it anyway. But anyway, the way if the muzzle is at this end, the entire system kind of travels down like this. That's why the gun's built so oddly, right? So the actual bolt carrier group and everything kind of goes down into the body like that. So it actually pushes that inertia and that weight back into the shooter at a downward angle. Interesting. And because of that, it actually shoots pretty flat, pretty nice. We have featured the Cruise Vector quite a bit on the channel, and you can see that fairly often. It being chambered in 10 mil, 10 mil is just an awesome caliber. It is a it's a damn good caliber, put it that way. I want a 10 mil. So I think it's awesome. My honest opinion, I think it's freaking cool as long as the gun can hold together with that 10 mil force, right? So anyway, Brian, thank you so much again for the contribution and everything. California gun laws are wild. Yes, they are. Do you think that the Cali is a worthwhile investment to build an AR in the way you want? If I'm being honest with you, I'm actually not too familiar with the Cali. It's a worthwhile investment to build an AR the way you want. So having not know exactly what it is here, you know what? Just so I can have a idea, let's just see if I can pull it up really quick. Cali. Just want to take a look. Well, it's funny when you look that up because there's definitely some Rainbow Six stuff that comes up. So maybe I'm just out of the loop. But I will say this: if you're building something out and it's what you want, and you're going to use it for what you want to use it for, then I'll be honest with you. As far as a worthwhile investment, there's plenty of things that I've done that I won't see a return on money, but the joy that it's brought me and me being able to actually learn something from it, especially building out stuff. If you've ever taken the time to actually build an AR-15, actually grease the barrel, insert it into the upper receiver, tighten that thing down, and build out the gas block, the gas system, a gun from the ground up, take it to the range and not blow up on you. It is a very satisfying thing, right? Especially when it runs very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Reliably, right? So all of that, I would definitely say is worth it. And Cali Key, let's take a look. Key drop in bolt. Oh, that's what that is. Okay, I just didn't know what the term was. Got it. Okay, so it ultimately turns your AR-15 into a bolt action. Yes, so I have heard about these. These are pretty wild, and I would actually say that since they allow you to turn your AR-15, typically your semi-auto rifle into a bolt action rifle just by changing out the bolt, yeah, I'd say that's a pretty decent investment for where you're at, right? Because from my understanding, if you needed it to go back to semi-auto, you can make it go back to semi-auto. So yeah, that's probably a good idea if you ask me. All right. Again, I don't have any personal experience with this, but it also seems pretty damn straightforward to me. It's no milling, no aesthetic modifications, no turning off your gas system is necessary. It just runs. So can't be upset about that. And why does it run? It's bolt action. Works, right? So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty solid investment, especially for where you're at. All right. Anyway, yeah. So I see the bolt action version, all that type of stuff. Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Damien, you're asking, will I be doing any more classes with Ava, Flanell, Fannel this year? I don't know. Ava and I could find out. We've got. I know Century is dropping a new version of the Thunder Ranch AK rifle, so I'm like, totally down to go back to Thunder Ranch. Clint Smith is a legend, and learning from him, taking those classes, taking the one class I've taken with him, the urban rifle class, was awesome. It was a 2-day class, and at first I wasn't appreciative. Right at first, on like day one, because we're doing like pretty basic stuff, going to the fundamentals and everything, right? And it's like, man, let's get into the running and gunning and moving and shooting and all that type of stuff, right? And then day two hit, and day two really made me appreciate day one. I was like, oh shit. Okay, Clint, quit being a freaking high speed go getter and actually take in stride every single thing this man is saying because he knows what the hell he's talking about, obviously. And day two is when we did the running and gunning and shooting and yelling and everything else. He was on us hard. And I find his lessons and everything so valuable. I would absolutely love to go back. As far as other courses, last year we did quite a few courses. Let's see, we did was at the Battle Line Tactical course, which, by the way, if you do not follow the Battle Line podcast, you should, because I think your boy will be a guest there soon talking with Tonto. Really excited about that. As long as all of our dates and schedules line up, that should be happening. And then, of course, I'm going to ask him to hop on our podcast at some point. Perhaps you guys know that on our podcast, we do really well with a mobile podcast setup, so much so that we might completely reconfigure a hotel room to do it and make it work. So with that being said, yeah, we will definitely try to do more courses, flying and all that type of stuff. With or without Ava, we're going to try to do that. And of course, depending on who the instructors are, actually all of them would probably be really interesting to talk to. All the instructors that we've had so far, one of which was Kyle Lamb for the Surefire event, fantastic. All of that would be great reason to fly out there, run the course, and then post-course, have them as a guest on our podcast. So will we be doing any more classes? Yes. With Ava, if she wants to. All right. Oh, man. Derek, thanks for all right, that's cool. Thanks for the support. And he wants to join us at the range. You're local. We'll be at Take Game tomorrow. So there's that. Again, if you guys ever see us at Take Game training, come and say hey. You do have to be a member there, I will say that. But they are fantastic people. Anne Marie and Stoney that run the range, just awesome people. Stoney's involved in local politics as well. Conservative gun guy, so he's a good guy to support. And I got to tell y'all, the facility out there is fun, right? It's not like this super high-end fancy place, but it's a range out in the middle of the woods with some big berms that allow you to shoot, and you don't have an RSO yelling at you saying that you can't fire but one round every 3 seconds or something. You see what we do in our videos. Obviously, we're a stirred company, and we have a private range out there. But ultimately, take that into consideration. If you want to practice transitions, rifle to pistol, pistol to rifle, manipulations, whatever it might be, move from left to right, get off the X, you can do all that, which is really, really cool. Don't be stupid. Don't ruin it for everybody else by being a jackass now. Okay? Anyway, feel free to join us, though, and that's how I feel about that. Legacy, I see you're back up in here. Thank you again for the support. You are the best. Any team up with the Warrior Poet Society planned or a giveaway of a war poet? So John Lovell's awesome dude. We've met with him before. He's also a really busy dude. So we will try to work with John. I know that man's got a lot that he's got on his plate. So it's kind of like, hey, John, if you're watching, better yet, for all of you that are watching, if you'd like to see a collaboration, a team up with Warrior Poet Society and Classic Firearms, flood his DMs. He's probably going to hate me for that, but flood his DMs. Say, hey, you should team up with Classic Firearms. Do a collaboration on a war poet, and let's see what happens. It'll be an entire thing. It won't just be a war poet pistol. When I think about collaborating with somebody like John Lovell, he and I should do, of course, an entire competition against each other about gear and everything else, and then see who's more effective with what. I'm totally going to get my ass kicked, but I'm willing to do that for you guys. Obviously, I'm willing to do a lot for the channel, like the Death Nut, like the Stinky Fish Challenge, like the One Chip Challenge, like getting tased. I don't know what's wrong with me. Anyway, yeah, just flood his DMs. That's all I'm going to say. I'll use you guys. And I'll throw a DM in there also too. Like, hey, let's get together and let's do some stuff. So Craig wants to know, Clint, have you ever met James Reeves from TFB TV? James is the GunTube goat. James is awesome, Mr. Gun Shorts. Yes, we know of each other. I consider him an awesome ally when it comes to GunTubers, right? James and I will cross paths every now and then. I'm actually a big fan of all the guys over at TFB. Luke, if you're watching, Huffel, I can never get your name wrong. Right, I'm so sorry. But all those guys are just awesome. And I got to tell you, though, that's funny. Yeah, James is awesome. Luke is one of their writers, and we party with him all the time. And he was at the NRA annual meet, this last meet. And, yeah, we were all together getting dinner, having drinks, things like that. And I do believe there will be a collaboration at some point. Luke and I, we ran the class together at Surefire with Kyle Lamb, And so, I would like to say that, yeah, there's some potential there, and we would love to have James on the podcast as well. So, yeah, you guys just stay tuned. One thing that I think is really cool about starting our podcast is we got to make a lot of friends in the industry, and now we get to kind of like talk with them a little bit more in depthly, and you guys get to hear a little bit more about them personally. One of which, of course, is Brandon Herrera, the AK guy we all know and love, and you know being able to talk with a lot of these guys that I've looked up to, things like that when I was first getting into this, or I've always been, who hasn't been on YouTube for like the past 10 years, right? And then you get to see some of these people, and it's like, dang, man, that's pretty cool. Like 22 Plinkster, like Such Double O, like Larry Vickers, right? I mean, these are just awesome people. And now it's like, hey, you guys get to hear a little bit more about them, what they prefer, what they don't, what they like to do for carry, and this, that, and the other. So yeah, there's all sorts of different personalities that we have yet to get to. Our latest was Taryn Butler. Yes, the dude's wild, right? If you guys saw the interview over at Savior Equipment's booth from NRA, if you listen to the podcast, the man's entertaining. All right, that much he's got going for him, along with being able to shoot like crazy. So his guns are pretty freaking cool too. Of course, we all know him from the John Wick series. Right. Anyway, have I met James Reeves? Yeah, he's awesome. All right. So continuing on with a few here. How long have we been going? About an hour 15, and there's still quite a few of y'all here. Do not know why. But anyway, let's just see here. I think I know what you're talking about here as far as the holster with the inside the waistband, because I tried to go back through and see who you're responding to, because I'm pretty sure you're probably talking about like the Canik and the MC9, because for the time being, that's the holster that I'm using, is the one that it actually comes with for inside the waistband. And it's not the best, but it does work, and it works really, really well. In fact, if you watch all of our NRA coverage, if you look closely enough at the waistline, that's all I'm going to say. All right. Anyway, actually, one of you guys is asking right now if we have an ETA on getting some more of the Canik C9s in stock. They've sold out everywhere. They're a very popular pistol because they're damn good, especially for the price. Like I said, I got one. So, yeah, like I see the value in it. You get a 12 and a 15 round magazine. I got the 2-tone one because I thought that was look cool. And remember, looks are like half the battle. That's not true. Training and equipment's definitely half the battle. It's actually 100% the battle. So anyway, let's see here. Ooh, this is a good one. By the way, as far as MC9 coming back in stock, hopefully soon. We've got a really good relationship with Canik, so hopefully, I think we actually got like the first ones that came to the market. So hopefully we'll be getting some more in soon. All right. Jacob, did you watch the Lucas Blockin / Tim Cast IRL podcast? Really good watch. If you haven't, I think Lucas would be a great guest on your podcast. If y'all can make that happen eventually, he seems to be about the podcast. I would love to talk to Lucas and pick his brain, especially his brother Isaac. If you guys haven't heard on the T-Rex Arms podcast, they have one all about the history of the Second Amendment. And I have probably re-listened to that multiple times, just because all of the information, the different resources that they list in that, fantastic. So I'd actually love to have Lucas and Isaac on the podcast. And yes, absolutely, I would love to try to shoot against Lucas and just see how bad I do in comparison. The man is a robot, and Botkin, and it's wild to watch him shoot. And he's just obviously pro through the core. As far as did I watch the podcast? No, I actually didn't even know. So I'll be pulling that up shortly after I hop off the stream. All right. But anyway, so awesome stuff on that. Can't go wrong there. The Bakken Bros are definitely people who I'd watch. By the way, Drew Hopkins, he recently came out with the new Dirty Civilian side of things. And if you guys haven't watched any of that, go check that out. That's showing you how to do a little bit of off-grid living, some tactical homesteading, things like that. Really cool stuff to kind of watch and learn, especially if you want to kind of get away from the idea of being so reliant on grocery stores and McDonald's, right? So Do that. Anyway, but yeah, I'd love to have Lucas on the podcast, just talk with him and all of that. It's Classic Firearms based in North Carolina. Yes, Charles Morgan, as far as I know, no relation. Yes, Classic Firearms is based in North Carolina. We're right outside of Charlotte. All right. Oh, should I open this can of worms? Let's open this can of worms because this is when it gets interesting. Brian S. is asking, how far does the government have to go before you would take up arms against them? Well, when you think about our forefathers, they took up arms way before where we're at right now. um, however, large purpose of that was taxation without representation. Some could argue that we are still being represented. We still vote for officials that are there to not lead us, by the way. So anybody that says, hey, our leaders, there are representatives. Don't confuse those two terms. My leaders I have, like in my chain of command, I actually respect. So not when it starts getting to the top. Anyway, am I allowed to say that? UCMJ, is that going to come down on me? Whatever. Anyway, so as far as how far does the government have to go before you would take up arms against them? It's one of those things where it's like violence, right? And this is a good question. I think that should be posed to everyone. At what point, right? What point is it too much? Our rights are being trampled. We're being taxed to death. We're not being represented well, even though some, again, can argue we are being represented. If you are voting for a person to represent you in Congress or Senate or even the executive office, then you are being represented, right? Might not be who you voted for, but such is a democracy, right? Or in this case, a constitutional republic. So violence is the answer in this case. So ultimately, what I mean by that is if somebody comes to your door with guns, as most law enforcement agencies are armed, and they demand of you your right to life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness. At that point, I'll say that without somebody taking a clip of this and making it sound like I'm ready to go to, Revolution 2.0 or Civil War or something like that, right? So let me know what you guys feel about that, because Brian, that is a really good question. Again, once violence is done to me, I will do violence to you. Seem fair enough? I think that's pretty much how self-defense works. Anyway, Jeremy, you're back. To clarify, I asked him just to make you the shirt because we thought you might like it and wear it too. All right, cool. You know what? Before I forget, I'm just going to text Auburn right now. He's over in Wyoming. He's all the way over there. And so I know, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a picture of this chat. This is what's kind of cool about being friends with other people in the industry is whenever you guys see them out and about at different shows or anything like that, I can, there we go. Got that. And I'm just going to send that. Let me just crop it down. This is, like I said, what's cool about being friends in the industry, stuff like that, is whenever you guys have these interactions, you're part of the family and you come out, and now here I am going to annoy Auburn on this Monday. Oh, he's still at work. Yeah, he's like 3 hours behind us. So boop, done. And if he responds, I'll let you know what he says. All right. I guess he's not watching, or else, he'd probably be in the chat in here. But anyway, this is a good question because we have asked Ben to be on the podcast. Actually, that's really funny too, because I see here that's another question. Wow, you guys are just all about it. Any chance we'll see Ben on the podcast? Thank you again, Legacy Productions, for the contribution and everything. I only started watching 2 years ago after you took over and would love to hear about Classic from him. Well, first of all, thanks for your viewership and support. And Ben has agreed to be on the podcast. The catch to that is when he's not so busy. I don't think he ever plans on retiring. And he loves to stay busy. So when you that math doesn't really math for me. So Ben has agreed to be on the podcast when he's not so busy. But yeah, for those of you that don't know, because Ben hasn't been in front of the camera in quite some time, at least hosting in a way. Ben started Classic Firearms back in the late '80s with the sale of a couple of Mosin Nagants at a gun show. Since then, he's kind of worked with an FFL out of his garage. He's had a warehouse that he had to drive to pick up a gun, box it up, and then drive it to the post office and send it out, or UPS or whoever was the courier at that point in time. How many ever 30 plus years ago now. And Ben started the company, and he's still with the company today. And he is the reason we're all here in that sense. He's the reason I'm here. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, I would love to hear, I know you guys would actually like to hear like how he got started in all of this way back when. So yeah, there's a chance of him getting on the podcast when he's not so busy. Oh man. Is Tisas trying to make a comeback? Charles asked. Tisas has come out with some pretty cool stuff. They've got really, I don't know if it's so much a comeback because we've carried a lot of their products for quite some time now, and like their Model 1911A1 clones are super cool. They've got all sorts of different guns out there. They just do an awesome job, and that's that. I really like their guns actually quite a bit. I think they're the ones that make that really nice 10 millimeter 1911 that we have in the video room. That is a badass little gun. And you know what? I answer this question fairly often, Chris, about where's Alec, and it's Alec with a K, by the way, not with a C. So Alec actually left. He actually wanted to start his own company, and we probably should have done like a farewell, like we did with Katie, so that way you guys wouldn't be asking all the time. But at the end of the day, we're all still homies, and we've asked him to come and actually do like a cameo at some point or something. And he gave us kind of the response that Ben gave us. Yeah, when I'm not so busy. Not busy enough to go have a beer with us. So don't see why I can't be on the channel with us again, Alec. Just saying, y'all can clip that and DM that to him if you want, all right? You guys are hilarious. Raudanki, is this the real Clint from Classic Firearms? Yes. There you go. Now that the hat's on, do you guys recognize me now? Actually, the brim's a little crooked. Used to go that way. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, it is. All right. Oh, this is a good question. It's actually not even the federal government's monopoly on explosives that they have. Because Elton is asking, how do we handle the federal government's monopoly on explosives? They actually kind of run the monopoly on violence, if you think about it, right? And that's where the problem is. So in some states, you can defend yourself with a firearm and you're good, right? Preservation of life, all that type of stuff. Great. However, there are some issues, like I say, a monopoly on violence, because the United States government's also the only ones, whether it be your state or local government also, that can get away with kicking in your door and shooting you in the middle of the night. And they have immunity from that, even if you weren't the targeted house. So riddle me with that. So how do we handle the government's monopoly on explosives? Well, government got too big to begin with. And this kind of goes back to at what point, what Brian actually asked a while ago was, when do we take up arms against the government, things like that. And like I said, when violence is done to me, I will do violence unto you, right? Unjustified, okay? Like if I'm, a bad guy, one of these mass killers that's out there, shooting up a mall or a school or something like that. Yeah, once violence is being done, now you answer with violence, because a lot of people say, hey, violence is never the answer. That's simply not true, right? We have found out through time and time again that, well, sometimes violence is the answer. And that's what I try to say when it comes to self-defense, when it comes to home defense, whatever it might be. Evil exists. So how do you confront evil? How do you defeat evil? Well, you answer it with more overwhelming power and surprise of action than what it's done to you. If you don't, then you probably die and lose. All right, so there you go. Artemis, if you guys follow me on my personal account at Morgan on Instagram, you will see that, yeah, I've partnered with Shooting Targets USA and got some custom Velociraptor targets made. I've got some pretty fun content planned with that coming soon, so go check that out. They're just fun. There also might be a little collaboration in the works about maybe some cowboy targets because, well, Henry released a revolver, and I love Henry, and I think they don't mind me. So you'll probably see some more, you know, content around that. All right. Anyway, oh man. So yeah, don't worry, Artemis. Thank you so much for the support. And as far as Velociraptor content coming, it's only going to continue. So don't worry about that. All right. Oh man. All right. Let's see here. Yes. Oh wait. No. That's funny. So one question is from Legacy: Can guard dog plate carriers hold steel plates from other companies? I want to use my current carrier, but want some steel for long term storage. All right, I got a couple of comments on that. As far as can guard dogs plate carriers, yes, as long as their standard plate carriers are 10 by 12. If you've got 10 by 12 plates, there you go. So that should answer that question. As far as using steel, however, for everybody that might not know, we've done plenty of videos on this now. If you just have a basic steel plate and that's what you're using as body armor, cool. That will, as long as your armor is rated to stop whatever incoming round is coming, then great. What's going to happen is that round will be stopped. However, you will have a bunch of metal fragmentation known as spall go all over the place into your groin, into the underside of your chin. So instead of having one big bleed, you'll have dozens of little bleeds, which can sometimes nick an artery or something more vital. There's not anything really more vital than an artery, but depending on how you look at it. So with that, you want to use something like a spall liner that usually goes in front of or encases steel plates. So that way it catches all of that spall. So if you are to use steel, again, for long-term storage, because ceramic does actually have a shelf life, believe it or not, which, again, I might have a couple of those guard dog level 4 plates laying around that I plan to shoot at in like 5 years' time, as long as I'm still doing this, which I plan to, as long as plastic decides to keep me. So in about 5 years' time or so, or even longer, if possible, shooting these steel plates, or not steel plates, but these ceramic plates, and seeing if they still hold up over a period of time. I think it'd be kind of cool. Also, have to take into consideration what the environmental factors are about where they're being stored in a garage or bunker. If it's cooler, more damp, if it's dry, things like that. So, anyway, that was a really long answer to your very simple question, which is yes, they can hold different plates. Just make sure that your carrier, if it's a 10 by 12 or 11 by 14 or whatever the other plate sizes are that are out there, just make sure that the steel plates that you are ordering are also the same dimensions as your plate carrier for it to fit. All right, there you go. Good quote here from Life and Death. Saying that out loud makes sense now. The world stakes patience and tolerance for weakness. That it does. Just because you're quiet, just because you're typically a patient man or woman, or somebody that usually tries to steer away from violence, does not make you weak, especially if you are trained, if you are capable of violence, right? I think Jordan B. Peterson recently had some sort of interview, talking about, a violent man being, a harmful individual, which isn't the case. Um, you know, like to be harmless, you have to be capable of harm, right? Or to be harmful, you have to be capable of harm. To be harmless, what are you, right? So yeah, you guys go look up what I'm looking about here at the Jordan B. Peterson quote. It's pretty good. But yeah, to be capable of violence, but withheld in violence, and actually thinking before your actions, trying to negotiate before reaching violence is obviously the way go. Patience, tolerance should not be mistaken for weakness, especially if that person might be very affluent in violence. Right? So there you go. Um, oh man, let's see. Oh, this is interesting. Sandy B here. Lady entered my home while I was sleeping. Needless to say, there's nothing better than hearing a shell go into the receiver. Said she had to pee, not sure she got finished. All right. So another thing about shotguns, don't expect the sound of a pump. I've got two of my shotguns laying over there. I'd rack it for you. But anyway, I'll get to that. Uh, so lady entered my home. Don't rely on the sound of a racking shotgun. You know, I guess you could say, don't rely on that to scare away an intruder or a home invader. That's not not what you want to do. All right. Oh my goodness. Let me see here. Let me get to a couple more of you guys here before hopping off because it's been what, an hour and a half now. Oh my goodness. That is still don't understand why you guys are hanging out, right? Riley, thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Let's see, Taryn 499. Quick shout out. Come to Pew Party 2 this Saturday in Orlando, biggest East Coast shooting this year. Clint, the only suppressed SPOS 12 and SPOS 15 will be there. Well, I didn't know anything about that. So, and that's this weekend, this Saturday. Little late, but that would have been cool. That, oh my gosh, maybe next time, right? So, oh dang it, that does sound pretty cool though. Suppress Boss 12 sounds like something I would definitely want to get into. Oh man. So again, man, I really do appreciate you guys so much being in here with all of us and all. CJ is asking the opinion on the growth of 3D printing. Would you ever get into 3D printing? Yes, absolutely. I think that's awesome. 3D printing is just another way of building your own shit, and I totally believe that people should do that. So there you go. Have at it. I think 3D printing is awesome. Would I ever get into it? Yeah, I've got a buddy of mine that's really into it. Obviously, print, shoot, repeat is really into it. He's not the he's not the I guess, what is it? The buddy of mine that's into it. But yeah, I would totally, if I could, learn a little bit more about that. But anyway, let's see here. Riley, I see Riley getting to you. You're asking, thanks again. Have you had any experience with the Hybrid 46 suppressor? I bought one yet recently, and it's currently in silencer limbo with the dog haters. Yeah, actually, because that one is a really cool, hybrid. It allows you to shoot all sorts of different calibers. It's a heavy son of a gun, but it is actually the first silencers we got into Classic to try out, though, actually were some of the Hybrid 46 suppressors. And they work really, really well. Again, they're kind of like one of those that they do all fine, but not one like great, right? You know what I mean? So it's not like a dedicated 5.56 silencer, which will get you better performance out of like a Surefire 5.56 or anything else. So anyway, as far as like just having one to do all though, that's a great option. So yeah, I'd say you did a good choice on that end. All right. But anyway, I'm scrolling through here. I want to make sure I didn't miss any of you guys, especially some of y'all that are in the super chat and everything. Really appreciate you guys being all a part of that. Got you about the Canik MC9s, about Lucas. Let's see, Dub. I think I may have missed this one here. Yep, Dub Shep. Thank you again for tuning in and all that type of fun stuff. Have you tried the Thordenson custom ARAK cheek rest? And any thoughts if you could keep my buffer tube warm while it misses its brace? That's pretty funny. No, I actually haven't tried any of Thordson's customs ARAK pistol cheek rests. That does sound pretty interesting, though. It sounds like something that I would want to take a part in, even with the brace stuff and limbo right now. It does sound like something pretty interesting. Again, I haven't. Maybe I have. Maybe I have seen. Let me just look really quick. Thordson Customs, perfect. And let's see what they have to offer. Because again, I might not always be so familiar with the names, things like that, but might have seen it at a show or something along those lines. And wow, they got some interesting stuff. Okay, I see what they did there. So it allows you to get a lot more comfortable cheek weld than what some braces allow you to do. So that is really, really cool. And it looks like they got a lot of different solutions, I'll call them, for those of you that might be in those lesser free states, which is, again, pretty cool. So, oh man, there you have it. I need to get around. Obviously, I need to pay attention more at these shows. That would be pretty good for you guys, so I can get more feedback too. Which again, we're trying to get at least 3 teams on show floors. Like this last NRA show, we had myself, Matt, and Kaya, and while one of us was on the podcast, the other 2 could be down getting more coverage and content and covering more manufacturers. So that's something that we try to do, right? So anyway, that is really ultimately the goal, I think. Get even more coverage, produce even more content, try to do all that. SHOT Show next year, my goal, SHOT Show next year is to cover at least 200 manufacturers. My goal long term is to be able to have classic firearms. I already believe that we do the best show coverage. I honestly believe that. No personal bias here because I wear the logo or anything like that. But we spend a lot of time and a lot of resources going to these shows, a lot of bag space, checked baggage to try to go out there, bring all the equipment and personnel to try to cover all these different shows. And so what Ghost Shadow has said here, need to get Ben back in video would be awesome. I would love to see him because he's done it before, talk with a couple of different manufacturers at the shows. I'm just saying, he's really good friends with Foss Tech. That was actually one of the last times he had a good appearance on our channel. It was actually at Foss Tech's booth, SHOT Show of last year, which is ironic enough because the guy that we randomly pointed out to, hey, come hold this, come feel how light this gun is. I can't remember his name now, but he works at Daniel Defense, which I think is pretty funny. And now I just interviewed him this last NRA annual meet at Daniel, so that was pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, I agree. We need to get Dan back in more video, but stay tuned. Again, stay tuned for the podcast. We'll see. You know what we get happening there. All right. Yeah. So thank you again. We really appreciate that, Matt. We try to do the best that we can. Again, bringing a lot of equipment, making a mobile podcast studio on top of that. Ryan works his ass off trying to make sure that we've got good cameras, we've got a good soundboard, we got audio, video, we got everything, we got all the things we need to have a successful content creation trip, right? When it comes to these different shows that we go to. So let me know down right here, right now, actually, since this is a live stream, what shows, what events would you like to see us cover? Because again, I didn't even know about this CanCon that just happened, which would have been really cool to go to with all the different suppressors that they have to offer out there, things like that. So just let us know if there are more. You can feel free to DM me also at magdump_Morgan. I tried at one point to get to all of my DMs, not to sound like that. That sounded kind of assholey, but it gets a little overwhelming with the Classic Firearms Instagram as well and doing this and everything else. So if you're here right now, let me know down in the comments, right? So there you go. Suppressor Feast, like that, right? Good question from Craig Johnson. Would you choose the Sig LT or the CAC in 5.56? Probably the Sig LT. If I'm being honest, the Spear LT being a short stroke, piston driven design, it's more modular, and the CAC, like the SR15, cool, but it's lighter. I will give it that. But yeah, I'd probably still go with the Spear LT because of, again, nothing against Knights, nothing really for Sig here. It's just I already have a lot of DI guns. And I would rather have the short stroke design of the Spear LT. And also you can make it a little bit more compact by throwing on whatever type of stock you want. It can be a side folder. You can shoot it that way, where a DI gun, you can't, right? Unless it's a Foxtrot mic. So there you have it. All right. Anyway, so let's see here. Going on, SHOT Show coverage, NRA coverage. It's all freaking awesome. Thank you. Really appreciate that, Giovanni. Gio, good to see you, man. Thank you guys so much. Best website to read laws. Is this a question? Because if it is, then obviously Gun Owners of America is a good one. I'm trying to think. I know Pew Pew Tactical has some great articles out there. But as far as keeping you up to date on gun laws, things like that, again, follow our buddy Jared at not Mr. Guns and Gear, but Guns and Gadgets. Mr. Guns and Gear, Mike, he's awesome. He was on the podcast recently too. But anyway, as far as website to read laws, there's also the armed attorneys. They are very, very informative, very good. I'm trying to remember. There's some others that just aren't coming off the top of my head right now, but there are a lot of different. So honestly, you can just type in gun laws, see what comes up, and start forming an opinion of your own as well. It's great to have a lot of concealed carry, or not concealed carry, but it's great to have a lot of different opinions and perspectives, but also to form your own opinion, even whenever you're reading anti-gun material, right? You're reading the op for the opposing forces. It's probably not the most political way of identifying people that are anti-gun, but that seems about accurate. Really read what they have to say. I have actually got this book sitting right here by Eric Pratt called Firing Back, which brings up it's called Firing Back, How to Counter Anti-Gun Propaganda and Become a Better 2A Activist. Eric Pratt's one of the VPs over at Gun Owners of America. And it gives you a good idea about how to counter a lot of the anti-gun rhetoric that's out there also, if you need help doing that. Because it's one thing to try to get into an argument or a debate, but a lot of it, especially with the opposition, it becomes pretty ridiculous. A lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, a lot of emotional responses, and nothing really intellectual or fact. But it is what it is. Do the best that you can. So read laws that are both, or read material that is both anti-gun and pro-gun, and start forming your own opinions that way. USCCA is also a great option. I see you there. John, thank you so much. I completely forgot about them. Again, it's one of those things where I'll log off of this and I'm like, that's a good answer. And damn it, right? So there you go. Anyway, Mark Smith also, he's got great info. So there you go. That's another good one to check out. So there you go. That's a couple of people just already answering for you too. So check the comment section. These guys know quite a bit also, all right? Anyway, more 6.8 reviews. Absolutely. I see you there. The LWRCI 6.8 that's the one that I have the most experience with. And it's a pretty freaking cool caliber. Matt and I talked a little bit about it on a recent video. So go check that out. All right. Anyway, continue on here. I think we're approaching hour 48. Oh my God. Time flies when you're having fun, and there's still a couple hundred of you here. So thank you guys again for, y'all being here. This is a great question, actually. DJack511, I am not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer. Do not take anything I say as legal advice. So with that being said, the rule states 90 degrees to the barrel for a vertical grip on a pistol. The BCM vertical grip, though called a vertical grip, is not 90 degrees to the barrel. Take with that information what you will. I may or may not have one on my own pistol, right? So there you go. But so again, it's not 90 degrees, and the rule or law states that, again, not the same, but it's stated 90 degrees to the barrel is a vertical grip. The BCM vertical grip is not that. All right, cool. Now, again, not legal advice here. All right. There we go. Any videos coming about reloading? I think that's actually a really good question. I know there are a lot already out there, just wondering. I've talked with my buddies over at Dylan Precision about getting out there and doing some content with them all about reloading ammo and then going and shooting the ammo that we reloaded and kind of showing you guys how to do that, because I think that is a really good thing to do, especially with the increase on price on everything. Trying to save some money, pick up the brass that you went and shot at the range that day and then take it home to reload it would be kind of a good idea. There's what are those people? There's a term out there for the brass trolls or whatever else. I've had them come by the range before, say, "Hey, what caliber are you shooting?" And it'd be some obscure caliber or even 45-70 or something. And it's like, "Yeah, can I take that brass home? Are you reloading that?" I'm like, "No, I was just gonna sit here in the dirt." "All right, cool. I'm picking that up." Okay, have at it. Um, it's a good idea. So as far as videos coming, we have nothing planned right now. To be completely transparent, but as far as would I like to get into that? Would I like to show some more? And if Dylan Precision was a little bit closer, would I have already done a video with them? Probably. But we might be in talks with them. We see them at every show that we go to. They're awesome guys, very entertaining. And I think that you should check them out for sure. All right. Uptown, thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. And I hope you guys, enjoy everything that we do. Legacy, you're going to see much. I saw you covered the guns of the series, but have you read the Terminalist series or just a fan of the show? Also to suggest another collab, Jack Carr. So I have read the series. I have not read the latest book. I am a little behind on that one, but I am a big fan of Jack Carr, his military career, and also his books. I am also a really big fan of the show. Chris Pratt did a phenomenal job portraying James Reese, and I think hands down one of my favorite shows. Right, they just did a really cool job with that. The firearms manipulation, all of it. We actually covered the top 5 guns from Terminalist, so go check that video out if you haven't seen it on YouTube, of course. And all in all, I am a big fan. Yes, I'm actually supposed to email Jack Carr, and I never did, and I forgot about that. So whoops. So yeah, actually I'll be reaching out to him and talking about maybe a collaboration and getting him on the podcast, stuff like that, and perhaps even in video. May or may not ask him to bring Chris Pratt. We'll see. All right, I got Velociraptor targets and 45-70s. It just makes sense. Yeah. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue on here. You guys, wow. Some of y'all's comments are pretty good. That is pretty funny. Oh, here we go. So we were at IWA this past year. All right. So thanks, Derbonze23, for the comment. Do you guys have a question? You guys come to the IWA, EWA, IWA, whatever you want to call it, show next year. This show was pretty awesome this year. I was unable to attend due to some military obligations, but I can tell you that I would definitely like to go to Germany next year and film on a bunch of stuff that we don't see in the United States or that might be coming to the United States soon. Kaya and Ryan were able to hit it up over there some. And yes, Ben was even there. But you're hilarious, dude. But anyway, yeah, as far as plans on attending next year, I think so. We haven't determined anything, like, set anything in stone just yet. But I think that would be one that would be a lot of fun. All right. Let us know if you guys saw our IWA coverage and what you think about that. At least some of the top 5s of what we're seeing at IWA. All of that was pretty awesome. All right. Anyway, just going to put that on the screen for you guys to read and laugh at. Thank you. Everybody smile. You are at least making me smile. Oh my God. Anyway. So yeah, I am actually really looking forward to this as well. We have teamed up with some pretty awesome names in the industry, like, U.S. Arms Co., like perhaps even Aero Precision and a couple of others, AGM even. So if you're looking forward to seeing the long-range shooting content, I think we're going to have some pretty cool stuff there. All right. So stay tuned for that. In fact, if any of you guys are local to the Charlotte area and you have, I don't know, some property that reaches out to about 1,500 yards, let me know. That would be pretty interesting. Just saying, right now we've got 500 yards out at take aim, but with some of the guns that we'll be shooting, we could do well beyond that. And so we want to try to bring you guys the best content. So just let me know what you got here, like for the next week. But anyway, let's take a look here at this question. So Lynn wanting to know, what is my favorite non or semi-auto rifle? Non or semi-auto rifle? Anyway, I'm just going to go with, I would like to say probably one of my favorite rifles to shoot of all time, 30-06 M1 Garand. There's just something about it. The history, the legacy, the ping, all of it's probably one of my favorite rifles to shoot. All right, so there's that. And yes, Jeremy, I know that Dylan Precision has a full auto 300 blackout and 249 saw because I shot it. In fact, I actually have a clip of well, that's bad. It's a link, but I meant to say like a clip from a link, a belt of their 300 blackout saw. It's about 5 or 6 rounds. They're like, here, have this as a souvenir. And I'm like, that's pretty freaking cool. It's sitting on, might be in my bag somewhere actually. But anyway, so I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, a 300 blackout 249 saw is pretty awesome, especially with the silencer. We do have some footage of that actually from the Gundies. So go check out our Gundies coverage where we filmed with Dylan Precision over there with the 300 blackout saw. How freaking cool is that? But anyway, thank you so much, Joe, for that. Really appreciate that. Arrow adjustable gas block won't fit barrel. Common. So I've got the adjustable gas block on my ballistic advantage barrel. And I'm assuming you've got the right gas block diameter that matches the barrel. If it doesn't fit, I haven't heard that of an issue with Arrow. So my question would be, it would be more likely to have a not to spec gas block, however, than it would be barrel, maybe. But I have not heard of that. So a couple of things come to mind. Again, making sure that the diameter of the gas block, that's just basic, simple. I'm sure that you did that, 0.950, whatever it might be. And making sure that that diameter matches the diameter of your barrel. Boom. Now, you will notice that some of them have a little bit tighter fitting. Take a rubber mallet, whatever it might be, tap it into place. It shouldn't be so tight, though, that you can't actually make any type of minor adjustments. So if even that includes, like, again, minor tap, left, right, whatever it might be, okay? Because you need to make sure that, well, your gas port lines with the gas block. Okay. Other issue could be a quality control issue where maybe something isn't to spec. Maybe there was a little bit more material left inside of the gas block that shouldn't have been, or maybe that the barrel has a little bit more material on the outer side of the barrel. What is the barrel coated in anything? Was it painted? Was it Cerakoted? Little things like that could definitely cause issues. If the barrel itself was Cerakoted without the gas block on it, and then you try to install a gas block, that extra material, paint, whatever type of crap might be on it could cause an issue there. All right. So anyway, that would be as far as it being common, I have not heard of that personally. Let us know down in the comment section if you guys have, however, or let our buddy Joe here know. All right. Anyway, let's get back to it here. A couple more. And I got to tell you guys, we're approaching 2 hours. I'm going to cut it off at the 2-hour mark. I'm getting hungry. I haven't had any lunch today. I don't know what's wrong with me. So we've got about 2.5 minutes left here. So, or about a minute and a half, I should say. But anyway, Pro, where's my Mark 18? But I was advised not to show guns on the live stream or it could get like shut off or something. So there's that. All right. Oh man. What is the outside the waistband retention holster I use for the Gucci P320? That is actually, Ark is asking, that is actually a Alpha Mega Kydex holster. That is the level 2 holster that has a little thumb clip thing that allows it to flip down and all that type of stuff. Now, what you saw in my Battleline Tactical 2-day course, where my gun actually fell out of my holster, that was a KT Mech holster that was actually designed for an FNX 45, not designed for my Sig P320 VTAC. That's why it fell out. So if you are getting a holster, make sure it is one made for your gun, and you won't have these stupid issues like that. All right. Also, the P320 did fall out of my holster and it did not go off. Yay for safety. All right, cool. Anyway, I'm going to leave it off there, guys. We are, again, approaching that 2-hour mark. And also, I just saw that and it went away. Where'd it go? It said, this is the longest Clinton's gone without the Mark 18. It's true. It's actually very true. So thank you for that comment there. All right. Anyway, I want to thank you guys again so much for tuning in on this. This is something that I'm going to be doing at least weekly going forward, or going to attempt weekly, depending on what my schedule looks like. Getting a little bit more involved with the Marines and other things. So we'll see. But anyway, I just want to, again, thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys down below in the comments section. I'm thinking that this will be up on YouTube for you guys to comment on and things like that after I end this. Again, this is more of a test for one of our first live streams in quite some time. I'm going to make sure it's working right. Obviously, the audio needs a little bit to be better, so we'll work on that as well. So give us some feedback. Again, make sure you're following us at our only legitimate Instagram at Classic Firearms Official. You're probably gonna have to spell it out letter by letter and make sure that you're spelling it correctly, because we're definitely shadow banned there, as am I at @dump_Morgan. But there you go. All right. But anyway, I just want to let you know, guys, again, we appreciate you and your business. God bless you guys. And hey, we'll see you next time at Classic Firearms. And on top of that, have a good night. Stay safe. It's Monday. Hopefully you guys had a good Monday. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.